It's all right.
We're back. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Unknown Comic Book Podcast, where we're going to give you all the best haps on comic books, MCU, DCU, and everything comic book related in the worldwide world today. And I have a special guest with me. But before I introduce the guest, my co host with the most, you know him. He is the Brooklyn MC. He is the phenomenal, the one, the only John E.
Raps.
Raps. What's up, brother? How you doing today?
What's up, bro?
Absolutely.
Everything is lovely. Everything is lovely. I had a
Love it.
moment to recover since watching the movie yesterday, so I'm not, I think this is good because I'm not over here blubbering in front of my man's Gerald now. I'm just meeting Gerald for the first time, and I'm not crying like a baby because I would be if that's like, if you guys caught me yesterday when I just came out the flick, cool.
Well, you know, I've seen it once and I want to go see it a second time. But if it wasn't, if if it was still fresh, brother, I think I would be like you. I'm not gonna hold you. As an animal lover, I was in the movie. I was like, damn, these allergies is crazy out here inside this building with absolutely zero pollen. But before we move
Yeah,
on and talk about the emotions inside, I gotta introduce a man who is a brother to the Mars Entertainment Empire. You've seen him on Down in the Den After Dark. You've seen him on Politicking as usual. You've seen him on skits whipping up the best alcoholic beverages in the world today. He is the pharaoh, the czar, if you will, of Christian Mingle, making sure everything goes up. The
Yes,
one,
sir.
the only, Big Gerald. How you doing today, brother?
Man, everything is lovely. Brother Raps, is good to meet you, man. I'm glad that y'all caught me too. I went to see the preview before the movie came out, and I'm gonna tell you something. I had my kids with me, and I was like, I'm not crying, you crying. Get in the car.
I
it's
definitely
good.
went to see it alone because I would have lost a very little bit of street cred I have remaining when they would have saw me crying over a CGI animal. But let's talk
Yeah,
about it.
I
Let's talk about it.
strategically, I strategically, I strategically planned it so that my lady had something else going on.
I did the same thing. I was like, oh, you got to go to something with your sister? Well, I understand. I'll be back in 2.5 hours. But so if you don't know what we're talking about, ladies and gentlemen, the finale of the James Gunn trilogy, GOTG Volume 3, has been in the theaters now for 2 weeks and some change. It's currently number two in the country, behind, of course, or actually, I think it's number three in the country currently, behind the let's see, Fast X and something else that just dropped.
The
Um,
Little Mermaid.
Little Mermaid, of course, the number one comic book movie of all time, Little Mermaid. But it's still a fantastic, fantastic centerpiece. So we're gonna start. We can't have the MCU without the foundation, which is the comic books. That's why you see what it says here. I really love comics. I really do. It's the heart. But no one loves them more than my man Johnny Rap. So Rap, brother, understand since it's volume 3, you have 3 quintessential reads for us that the people need to check out if they really want to get the heart and the feeling of what Guardians of the Galaxy is all about. So please, brother, lay it on us. Tell us what you got. Give me the
Well,
shit.
well, before I get into that, I do want to throw an anecdote out there about my movie venture yesterday. Just not to get too off topic, but you said that about Little Mermaid, y'all, and it just like it reminded me of something that happened right before the movie, and it was like something where I was like, oh man, like I felt the power and the responsibility upon me to do the right thing because the ladies in front of me, it was a woman and her daughter were clearly going to see Little Mermaid, and because they she handed them Little Mermaid flyers, and the girl at the counter handed them Little Mermaid flyers and then said theater 2 on your right, and then they walked away. And then I think I heard her say something like under her breath, or I mean, like, oops, I mean 12 or something. And then I was like, and then she told me, rang me up and said, told me theater 2 on the right. And then I was like walking along, like I'm pretty stoned. I'm not even really thinking all that too much about it, and like I'm not trying to be nosy or anything, but I'm walking after them, and it's like, okay, am I in the wrong place or are they in the wrong place? And I looked at my ticket; it said theater two. I went back out and checked with the chick, went back in, let them know, ma'am, I'm sorry. I normally mind my business. as I am told to do by all the ladies in my life. But it looks like you guys are here to see Little Mermaid, and I'm pretty sure this is Guardians of the Galaxy. And they were like, oh no. But it was like there was a moment where it was like, do I leave? Because I don't want to feel like a creeper, you know what I mean? I don't want to feel like I'm like being too nosy.
Nah,
And
man, you
in this
see, you
instance, I
stay.
mean, I was being nosy, but it was, to someone else's benefit, I hope.
It's never nosy when you're saving somebody's experience. That little girl would have been petrified because I tell you what, there was some darkness in GOTG 3 that I was not expecting. Uh, so yeah, I think you did a good deed. I think you get a check on Heaven's Gate for that because she was a little girl expecting to see Ariel and she got to see some mutilated animals. She probably would have walked out.
It would have been so bad. So that was the beginning of my movie going experience. It was interesting, but I was like, I felt that was like fucked up on the movie associate that she like realized she sent them to the wrong place and just like let it happen.
Yeah, when you get minimum wage, you get minimum effort. So they probably was like
Awesome.
they were like she'll figure it out eventually.
Bro, so my reads, bro. I got 3 reads. We said 3 reads because it's volume
Volume 3.
and I'll keep it. And I mean, I am very deep in the Guardians of the Galaxy comic book mythos, um, and so I could really. I mean, there's a lot of recommendations I could give because I think all the comic books are pretty much underrated, and they don't even come back into play these days until they're about to do another movie. Like pretty much they brought back the comics because they were going to make a movie.
Absolutely.
So like Abnett and Lanning did their landmark run where they created the team that we know now today, basically.
Right.
Right.
And had that first epic run, and and eventually it got canceled because it, like a lot of the cosmic titles, they don't tend to sell as many copies as Spider-Man or X-Men or Avengers or any of that. So it fell off a little bit, and it comes, and then they brought it back with Bendis's run because they were getting ready to do the movie. And it's funny because they alter the team, they alter the lineup of the team in the comics to kind of mirror whatever
Right.
it's gonna be in the movie or
Little
whatever
synergy, if you
has
will.
been in the most
Mm-hmm.
recent movie. So you know what I mean? Because it was like that the only person that was additional to the lineup of the first movie that wasn't in the movie was Iron Man,
Right.
because that was like Bendis's big thing. Is he was like, I'm just gonna continuously do team ups. So that's gonna bring me to my first recommendation, which is just going completely off the wall with it. I don't really have any. There's nothing about the movies that remind me of this arc, but it's just something that I thought about, and especially because Venom has been so dope lately. Like the Venom mythos is really coming up in the comics, and he's become a cool character, and kind of the beginning of the whole, the 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 God in Black or whatever. That's what it's called, right?
Yeah, it was the God in Black,
Yeah,
right?
God in
Yeah,
Black.
with Noel, right?
I'm a little
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like that whole thing that's been going on, where you know there's Venom first started finding out about the Clintar, which is the planet of Venom, when he was a member of Guardians of the Galaxy, and it was later in the Brian Bendis run. So I'm going to tell
Okay.
people to look up the Brian Bendis run, which is essentially Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, around issue number 21. I don't know what, I want to encourage people to use their Wikipedia. So go look up Venom Planet, which I believe is the name of the story arc. And it's a very interesting story where, Venom has become a member of the Guardians of the Galaxy following Carol Danvers, following Iron Man. These are the different people that Bendis throws into the mix, to try to bring on new readers, because they're like, look, it's a new Avenger, it's a new flagship character. So in this story arc, Venom and the Guardians of the Galaxy are traveling to space. They're headed in one direction to solve one problem that's going on, but Venom's suit just starts going haywire, and it starts, it's kind of like every issue, it jumps to a new crew member. So like it, and all of a sudden it's like on Rocket, and they got to figure out how to get it off Rocket. And then in the next issue, it's like on Groot. And then eventually they figure out that it's bugging out because they're close to its home planet. So they steer off course, and that is when Venom is introduced to the planet Clintar, and he becomes a space knight and all. It leads Venom onto this whole crazy fucking path in the comics. But that is a really cool story arc, and it's really, I mean, it's just all about Venom, but
with
Guardians
the
of the
GOTG
Galaxy are the
backdrop.
ones taking us there, man.
Mhm.
It's interesting to have him in the cast. I'm going on very long-winded, so I'll keep the next one very short. Annihilation Conquest Star-Lord. Annihilation Conquest Star-Lord, 6-part miniseries, I believe, where Keith Giffen is actually the one who introduces Star-Lord's team for the first time. They're not even calling themselves Guardians of the Galaxy. They don't even get around to that. That's what Abnett and Lanning kind of like brings back them and like a handful of other characters and calls it Guardians of the Galaxy later. But this is how they get together, and it's actually it's all very reminiscent of the prison sequence in the first Guardians of the Galaxy film, where they're all locked up together. It's a completely different cast almost, aside from Star-Lord, Rocket, and Groot. It's about the other characters. Gamora and Drax actually happen to be adversaries in the greater story arc of the Annihilation Conquest, because they happen to be possessed by the Phalanx and are going around the
Okay.
galaxy doing dirty deeds for the Phalanx. So they're not even on the original team. It was I had to write it down to remember some of these characters because they're obscure. There's Bug, Deathcry. Bug is just a bug-looking dude. You'd recognize him if you've seen him, because these are all
same species as whatchamacallit from the Thor and right? From Planet Hulk.
check.
I think it's the same species of whatchamacallit from Planet Hulk that had the
Oh, yeah. Deathcry. Let's check that out. Let's fact check that. I want to be able to let our fans know. Holy shit, my cat wants to get out. Hold on a second. I'll be right back.
bring the cat on.
I'm about to say what is like Leech, the one that had the braces on in Thor. Meek, Meek, if you will.
Meek.
Yeah.
Meek. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.
I don't think he's the same species as Meek. This dude looks like he looks like a grasshopper.
Okay.
He's like Marvel. Like DC has a character called A-Bug, and then this is Marvel's analog version, I think. Like Marvel has a lot of analogs at DC's characters that are like, oftentimes cooler. And this dude's name is just Bug, and he looks like a crazy fucking like
praying mantis.
He looks
right.
more like he looks more like a bug than Mantis actually does. Mantis was on the original team. Mantis from the movies
Right.
was a member of the original team. Then also a character named Deathcry, who I mentioned before, who is actually Shi'ar. She's like a Shi'ar warrior, like Warbird
Okay.
from X-Men,
Yeah.
or Deathbird rather. So yeah, Deathcry or Warbird, yeah, Deathcry. Man, dude, Captain Universe is a member, and then Rocket and Groot. So that was like the original like handful of characters, but it starts with them in prison rather than breaking out. They're more put on like a Suicide Squad type mission to try to save the universe from the annihilation wave. And third, I would recommend checking out the most recent first issue of Guardians of the Galaxy. The most recent reboot, of course, they gotta have one because the comics just came, or because the movie just came out. They gotta do a new comic. It's by Colin Kelly and Jackson Lansing, and the big story arc is Groot Fall. And a big thing that Marvel has been doing recently, and I don't know why this is like their new thing, but a lot of their new stories just are like when they're starting at number one, they're dropping us right in the middle of some shit without very much any explanation, and then you find out what later is going on. They've done it with the most recent run of Amazing Spider-Man. They've done it with the most recent run of Fantastic Four, and now they're doing it with this most recent run of Guardians of the Galaxy, where it's like nothing is really explained. They're getting down to the action. The heroes are everybody's like fucked off at the heroes already for something, and yeah, and the team is pretty like narrowed down. It's like it's like Star Lord, Nebula, and Drax are like like ready trying to deal with something. Rocket's never been mentioned, and they're trying to like clear this planet off before Groot Fall. Oh yeah, Mantis is there too. It's Star Lord, Drax, uh,
Mantis.
And Nebula.
and Nebula. Yeah, and so that those are the characters that they're using, but like they're trying to clear everybody out from Groot Fall, and then like next thing you know, at the end of the issue, like Groot shows up, but Groot is like the size of fucking Galactus and is like there to like to devour the planet. So like you have no idea what the fuck is going on, but that's what Groot Fall is apparently, and we have no idea like what happened to Groot to get him this way. We have no idea what happened to Rocket. I'm sure we'll find out. I'm sure Rocket's gonna like show up at some point to save the day here, but
Heroically pop
so I
up.
recommend people checking that out because it's just pretty interesting. And I also I don't have the artist's the penciler's name written down right now, but I really like his stuff. Anytime this dude does strong work, so everybody just check it out, man. Look it up.
Nice, man.
Read some shit, man.
Thank you, Raps. Read some shit. Support your local comic book store. You know how we do it every single episode. So thank you, Raps, brother. That was always some good reads. We'll put that information in the link below so you guys can check those out for yourself. Please, as we mentioned, support your local comic book store or order them online if you're lazy like me. But preferably, I like to say I always support my local comic book store, but I'm not going to cap for you guys. Sometimes a brother has to order them. So.
Well, it depends on where you get them from, man. You can
True.
get them sometimes. Sometimes you can get good deals from pretty independent eBay sellers. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like you can do a little auction sometimes. I'm surprised at what I'm able to get sometimes.
Yeah, you can get some killer stuff on the auction tab and eBay. eBay has got me a couple times. I've been burned a couple times, but for the most part, still pretty successful. So we're gonna get right into the movie GOTG 3, week 3. It's been pretty successful at the box office. Very, very positive, critical, and fan run. Many people are saying this is gonna be the salvation for MCU after a shaky phase 4. I like Ant-Man, but Ant-Man had some shaky critical reviews, little mitts on the fan reviews. I watched it again for the third time when it came on Disney Plus recently. And I think I noticed some things that I didn't notice the first two times that I saw in theaters that probably could have made the movie a little bit better. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 didn't really have that problem. It was fairly self-contained. A lot of meta commentary in it. First of all, let's start about what we thought. So, Big Gerald, we'll start with you, brother. What did you think of the movie, and where would you rank it out of the three? If I can get your 1, 2, 3 in that order, one being the best, second, third.
Okay. So I thought the movie was great. I took my oldest two kids with me. I thought the direction they were going in was well written. If I have anything that I didn't like about it, it would be what they did with Adam Warlock. I think that was they made him a little too comic-y because if I'm not mistaken, Adam Warlock in the comics is badass. And in here he had some power, but it was more like when he was around his mother and everything, Aisha and everything. He's just a bit of a klutz. All in all, though, the story, Rocket's character arc just in this movie alone, man, if that didn't touch your soul, you're not a moviegoer. You don't know anything about movies. For me, this movie was well written. It would come in second for me because it's something about that first Guardians of the Galaxy movie. That first one was really, really good. Um, I like what they tried to do with the High Evolutionary. Um, Alter Earth is pretty cool. The thing about it, um, I like the dynamic that Nebula brings to the table and how she's become part of the group. Even when they bring in Gamora, I still love Gamora. I have a thing with Zoe Saldana. I'll talk about that with my therapist. Love Gamora, but Nebula shine really good in this, and Mantis. Having Mantis come into her own during this whole movie, I thought that was great. Of course, Peter Quill shines. He gets to go and finds his granddad. I thought that was cool. But all in all, the movie was great. Everything with Rocket was cool. I mean, my kids go away as I wiped away tears. It was great.
Yeah. Well, everything came full circle, right? Like even
Right.
like you lifted off a couple characters like Mantis and all, but like even dude with the I don't never remember his name, but
Kraglin?
yeah,
Yeah.
Praglin. But yeah, like he came full circle. His relationship with Cosmo came full circle because he finally called Cosmo good
The
dog.
good dog. Yeah.
Like it was just like it was really some genius storytelling in that it did put a cap on everything for us, and some of it
Hmm.
was so bittersweet, right? Like with like just kind of like recognizing that let Star Lord and Gamora will never be together, and that's just life, and just kind of like she's happier off in the stars, and he's happier there eating cereal with his granddad. Now, what was that? I feel like I missed something in that scene. Like, was that like aside from that being another um, like the legendary Star Lord returns. Was there something that his something that I missed between the dialogue with his grandfather that was setting something up or referring to anything?
No,
No.
I just think it was banter at the end because the mid credit with Rocket having his own group. I think there was that looks like groups becoming King group with his size and everything, and Warlock being on the group. No, I just think they gave us that sort of like what they did with Deadpool at the end of the first one when he came out in the road.
Well, that one of the fun differences that I remember from that original Star Lord comic with Groot was that like Groot actually speaks in those comics initially.
Okay.
He's like and he's a dick. He's like he's constantly like reminding people that he's like the final monarch of planet X and all of this shit. And then like when he gets blown up, kind of like he does at the end of the first movie, and is
Hmm.
brought back, like all that remains of him is a little version. He can't say anything but I am Groot. And people were like, what's up with that? And then Rocket explains that his in that trauma from that event, it fucked up his vocal cords, and now all he can form is those 3 words. So it's like a different thing, because initially in the comic books he's not as nearly as
Lovable.
lovable
Right.
or innocent, because he's just a dick, and like him being stuck saying "I am Groot" is somewhat of a punishment. But also, what's interesting is Danny Abnett, one of the writers of the original, that original Guardians of the Galaxy series, titled with when Star-Lord finally had his Guardians of the Galaxy series. It's not the original Guardians of the Galaxy. That's why I have a hard time calling it, because it's that there's a whole other shit that, like, they've pulled characters from, but it's the original Guardians of the Galaxy takes place in the future, like past 2099, past all of that. And they use some of those characters in the movie. The original Yondu is from that series.
Right.
He was
okay.
different.
Some of the characters on Stallone's team are from the original as well, and they kind of mixed them and integrated them in.
Well, Stallone's character himself.
Yeah.
Is.
So, yeah. No,
I read they're doing like a flashback comic. They've been doing all these flashback miniseries with the original writers at different times, normally during the times they're run, but they're doing a Groot series, which is like supposed to be like the unseen origin of Groot or whatever, but it's really like evolving around Marvel as like the primary character, and it's like Marvel in his early days as a Kree warrior or whatever. But he meets Groot, and Groot's a little baby. He's like he saves Groot. Groot's been kidnapped from his planet by some like pirates or something that are going around different planets stealing creatures, and so they save Groot and a couple other little like mini Groot type characters that can only say their own name. So I'm like, this is one of those continuity things where I'm like, I'm waiting to see when he can like start actually talking and being like he was in that, because I'm like, surely Abnett was writing the early shit, so surely he knows the continuity and stuff, and like when it comes from comic to movie and stuff like that, and much of the stickler is when it's like within the comic book itself. It's like, okay,
it's super dope when
it's gonna work itself out.
These adaptations. Now, what do you guys think about James Gunn saying Rocket was actually the protagonist the whole time? It wasn't actually Peter, it was Rocket. Gerald mentioned that his arc alone was great, but I think his arc in every appearance, when you really, now that you look at it retrospectively, if you look at his arc, him and Nebula, to me, have probably the most impressive arcs of any character besides Iron Man in the MCU, in my humble opinion. What do you guys think about the character arcs over the entire, we're talking the Avengers movies, we're talking Guardians of the Galaxy, we're talking for the 2 minutes they were in Thor. What do you think about, who do you think had the most impressive arc out of any of those characters?
Are the ones you named?
Or any of the characters, Drax, Gamora. Well, I guess Gamora's arc ended when she died, but
right.
Who do you think of the team had the most impressive arc for you?
Groot.
And then Groot, he's gone. To say that that's not the original Groot, that's the Groot's son. So I don't know if you could count Groot or Gamora as actually having arcs.
Okay.
Characters completely died and they're new versions of those characters. But for me, I think I'm very impressed by Nebula's arc. Because if you look at her in the original Guardians movie, she was as nasty as can be, sexy for some reason. I don't know what it is with blue android chicks, but she does it for me. But
it's the black of her eyes. Like what it is.
He picked a nice set. But for her being like a mother almost figure and a leader and a team player, and healing from all the trauma, it's some deep shit in that movie. Like it's something that I think touches on more than just cool comic battles. I think they hit an emotional core that I don't think I've felt since maybe probably Infinity War.
Yeah.
As far as emotion.
Yeah, well, I didn't even feel. I mean, Infinity War like hits you in a certain way, and it's like, oh, like it's like, but like I don't. I still don't feel like it was as tragic as this one was. This was definitely like like Rocket's origin story is the most tragic fucking thing I've ever seen Disney do.
Yeah.
Like it was full on Disney. They're like we're gonna Disney the shit out of them with this movie, man. We're just gonna play on their heartstrings, and we can step it up and make it a little bit more fucked up because it's a Marvel thing. So like that, and so they just like they full on Disneyed us, man. They gave us like all like I was crying from like the first shot. Like they showed the Marvel thing,
Yeah.
like it was like the close up of like Rocket's eyes and stuff like that, and it like zoomed out or whatever it was. I think that was like what the first shot was, and I was
Yeah,
like,
no, it was the first shot.
and he's like walking around depressed, and I'm like, oh no, sad Rocket, something bad gonna happen to him. I know it right now. It's like,
When his first words were hurts, I had to put my head in my popcorn for a second because, like I said, Baby Rocket looked just like my dog that passed away a year and a half ago, and I was all the pieces. I was like, Charlie, no.
yeah.
Yeah,
And you want to try and save him and stuff too, so you feel like the rest of the group while he's like laying there and stuff. Like that's what I felt like Star Lord. I was like, oh, Star, like I just remember me like trying to get my like cat to the vet in time before he died and stuff.
Right.
no, it was tragic. Now, what do you guys think about High Evolutionary? I'm not even gonna attempt to say the actor's name because I know I'm gonna just insult his heritage, his culture, his family. I'm just gonna say he's a phenomenal actor. As far as villains, for you, where are you putting it? Is he top tier, second tier, third tier? And when I say third tier, I'm talking like the doofus in Thor: The Dark World, who I can't even really wasted a phenomenal actor. Or is
Oh,
he
Gore the God Butcher.
no, not Gore the God Butcher. They wasted him too. But no, Thor 2, Thor: The Dark World. Christopher Eccleston
Oh,
is the
oh,
actor.
okay.
He played the
I
dark.
wasted Malekith
Yeah,
hardcore.
Malekith.
Malekith.
Wow, what a waste of an actor. But where do you
Man,
guys rank him in the pantheon of Marvel villains? Where starting with you, Raps? Where are you ranking him?
He's up high for me, man. As far as like villains that really like hit the mark for me, like he's up there with Kang. If you
Yeah,
want to talk about like Avenger or like Marvel villains or whatever, I mean, like he's up there with Kang and Michael Keaton's Vulture, like
mm,
and you know most recently Willem Dafoe as returning as the Green Goblin. Like these are like the
yeah,
Marvel villains that really made me like hate them and like, but also like they did just a great performance at the same time. And this guy like with Kang, I actually you know I'm disappointed with the current situation because I definitely wanted to see more of Jonathan Majors as Kang. Like he definitely left us wanting more of that character.
absolutely.
This guy, I wanted his demise.
Yes.
It was a good payoff because I definitely like it in a good way. Like I hated him so much. It wasn't
Right.
like, ah man, like can we just kill this Malekith already because he's so lame? You know what I mean? It was like no, it was like oh man, Rocket's gonna fuck this dude up. And then when they showed his face at the end and what he had really done to the guy, I was like, yeah, Rocket, yeah. It was like such a great payoff. And I was like, they have to fucking kill this guy. I was like, I don't even want to see him in another. Like, just destroy him.
Which is hard because generally in superhero movies, they always try to either make the villain charming or give them some type of redeeming quality where you could see them in the future. Like, I mean, for example, look at Loki. he went from Avengers, where it's literally a serial killer. There's like, I think, a line in the first Avengers where he's like, he's killed 44 people in 2 days, and Thor's like, he's adopted. Ha 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 ha. But you
and then
look
they
at
go and make him a good guy in the country.
we make him a good guy, but you look at High Evolutionary, and it's like no redeeming qualities. I want nothing but the worst for this guy. That's something you rarely see, especially in a superhero movie. Drew, where do you rank High Evolutionary on your villain rating system?
So I have to start with the fact that yes, when you say he's a phenomenal actor, his work in Peacemaker was absolutely incredible. So when you look at him from that standpoint, him turning out to be a bad guy at the end of that, it really plays into who he became as a high evolutionary in this. I'm with you guys. He's upper tier. Like, Thanos was a killer with a purpose. Killmonger was a killer with a purpose. He was killing animals. When he shot Lola, I was already through. You could have took if Rocket would kill him right there. We could just had a movie about getting the thing off Rocket Heart. I've been satisfied. He is a horrible. He's a horrible person. He deserved his face ripped off. But man, how methodical he was with wanting perfection and see after what he did with Rocket, knowing that they weren't gonna make it and how cold he was and just trying to move evolution forward, like just nothing. They were nothing. It just played into the fact that man, he needs to die. And I'm sitting there with preteens and the teenager, like, I'm trying not to cuss, but man, take him the fuck out. I'm sick of him. Yeah, he's up there, man. I'm like I said, I'm glad the payoff was what it was. And then I'm bringing up another part when Rocket finally got to see that he was a raccoon and how he integrated it in this fight, and that was priceless.
Yeah, no, that was Raps mentioned it. There was no loose ends uh, in this movie. Everything, if we never saw any of those characters again, which obviously we're going to see them again. They already announced that Star-Lord will return. It would be okay because I think out of all the trilogies, to me, this besides Captain America might be my favorite trilogy for me so far in the DCU. So that brings us to the next topic. Where are you ranking it? There's been, I want to say 12 trilogies, I want to think off the top of my head, fact check me. But of all the trilogies and one quadrilogy with Thor, where are you ranking this as a beginning, middle, and end to a franchise? Where are you ranking it in the DCU? Whoever wants to start.
Um, Captain America still gets the nod. Man, Winter Soldier in itself is probably the best Marvel movie I've ever seen.
Hard to
I
argue.
love Winter Soldier. And then Civil War, the introduction to Black Panther and all that. It's just, I mean, like Guardians of the Galaxy is second, no doubt. But man, that Captain America trilogy is something else. And then I'm excited for New World Order. I just know it's gonna be really good.
Yeah, I'm excited for New World Order too. I think they're renaming it, if I'm not mistaken. I think they're going to be going for the wrestling fans out there, Seth Rollins will be a member of the Serpent Society, so that's going to be interesting.
Interesting. Yep.
Interesting. But yeah, for me, I agree with you. Captain America, the fact that number one, let's not sleep on the first Captain America. Like,
Oh no.
that's a really underrated like movie, and people really don't talk about how good it is for an origin story, but it's really freaking good, perfectly cast, perfectly. It could have got real Rocketeer on that movie with the old vibe and the 50s vibe or 40s vibe, I should say. Um, but it wasn't. It wasn't corny. It was probably my second favorite origin out the phase one besides Iron Man. And as a trilogy, by far the best for me. But yeah, GOTG, it's right there. Very close second, maybe even one A. I know a lot of people sleep on volume two. I personally love volume two.
Ain't nothing to sleep on. I mean, the most unique thing about the Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy is that it's entirely directed by James Gunn.
Mm.
Entirely his creation. So not even the not the front on Captain America trilogy, but just pointing out that not even they. I mean, the last two movies are directed by the same guy. But
Russo brothers.
Guardians of the Galaxy, man, it's we were talking earlier about their character development and everything, and it's just been it's really cool to see the different directions that the team went during the whole Infinity War Endgame saga and stuff like that. Like, who was like Rocket was with Thor again and stuff, right?
Yeah, Rocket
Right.
in game he partnered with Thor. Yeah.
Him and Groot. Yep.
Him and Groot, yeah. No, Groot was dead. Remember, Groot died at the end of Infinity Wars.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. That's right. That's right.
In game, he partnered with Thor, but in Infinity War, him and Groot partnered with Thor, while Drax, the rest of the fellas, went off to go after Thanos. So they split.
Right.
And then, of course, poor Gamora got snatched up because
damn, so much has happened even since that. That's crazy.
Very crazy. Right. Now, we've heard Zoe Saldana. She said she's gone. She's out. We all know money talks. We've heard Dave Bautista. He strikes me as being out for real. Like with his age, trying to keep up that size. You see, he the only plot hole is that he said he had sensitive nipples and he had a shirt on the whole movie this time. So I believe that we probably won't see Drax anymore. Chris Pratt's too big of a star for Marvel / Disney to just let him go. So I believe we'll see him in something.
They already said he's coming back.
They already said he's coming back. So where do you guys think we'll see a version of these team next? Where do you think you'll see? And if they're giving you the pen, where would you like to bring them back? Would you like to see a Disney Plus show? Them show up in like one of the new Avengers movies or a new series? Where are you guys at with that?
I think Secret Wars is where you'll see them next. You may see Star-Lord before then, depending on how they're gonna do with this thing that Disney's doing with this phase of trying to introduce the Young Avengers, because every movie has had some semblance of a Young Avengers, so you'll probably see him helping them out. But as far as the new group, Rocket's group, I think it might be Secret Wars.
Well, I even think they had a subtle setup for a new Avenger in Guardians of the Galaxy, and it's not a character that is
Lavelle
Avenger, but yeah, Lavelle. They set her up, and she's, like I said, not a character typically in the comics that is a young character, but again, just like everyone you said, they have a new teenage character they're throwing into the mix. So that's somebody that could also, I think, easily tie us back to the Guardians of the Galaxy as well. I definitely don't think we've seen the last of Rocket. And that's interesting what you said about a show too. And we have not. I mean, they didn't. I don't think that they introduced Warlock just as a joke. He is far too powerful of character. Potentially reality altering power with his ability to control Infinity Stones and stuff like that. They kind of introduced him late in that sense, and that he's a very pinnacle character in the
Infinity War. Yeah,
right.
But now, I mean, he's majorly powerful as he displayed. I don't think Star-Lord would be alive if he didn't like touch him the way he did or whatever.
Of course.
That was. But
pause.
So he's got like kind of godlike powers. He's just dumb and hasn't been trained to use them yet, So I definitely think that they introduced him for a greater purpose, whether they, or James Gunn did at least, whether they roll with that at least. I mean, I'm just very excited to see what the fuck this man does with Superman.
Yeah, which leads me to my final question of the night. So we all know he's somewhat of the new Kevin Feige, at least on the creative side. Maybe have a little bit more responsibility than Kevin Feige on the creative side. I think Kevin Feige kind of shepherders. He lets his directors and writers do their thing, and then he kind of makes sure you put this. But he's going to be putting pen to pad and eyes behind lens for the first movie in the DCU, which is going to be the Superman Legacy movie. There's been some rumors on casting. What do you think he's going to do? Because there's a lot of people, which is weird because they weren't there when the Snyder movies were coming out, but now they love Snyder. They worship the ground he walks on. What do you think James Gunn has in store for the DCU? We've already heard some of his plans. What do you think he's going to do for Superman? More importantly, let's just narrow it down to Superman. You see the heart he puts on, the relationship he has with the actors. We see a lot of the same actors come back again. He's already said that we will see some Guardians actors in the new Superman movie. Who that could be,
Wow.
I don't know. I know it's rumored that he had offered the role of Lex Luthor to Bradley Cooper, but Bradley Cooper turned it down. So that kind of, if he's looking for a Bradley Cooper type actor in a Lex Luthor role, that's interesting to me, because I see Bradley Cooper more of a Hal Jordan. I think he would be like a dope Hal Jordan, maybe even a Guy Gardner type character. But where do you guys see James Gunn for the DCU in the future of the DCU, particularly this new Superman movie?
Wild card, man. He's a wild card. I mean, all his Galaxy of the Guardian stories, like I said, they're all so original. That's why they work. That's why they're a standout movie trilogy to me. It's not just, you could take them out of the Marvel U, and or not. You know what I'm saying? Like they don't even have to sit there and watch the rest of the movies for it to make a lot of sense.
Right.
You know what I mean? We're not talking where like this is a movie that's halfway split with another protagonist or something like that. It's all its own thing. And the other thing is, like, he gave us the origin to Rocket. That's not something that exists within the comics. This was a fairly cartoony character that he gave a lot of depth to, and now this character has like an amazing, heartwarming origin story that wouldn't otherwise exist. So, I mean, what he can potentially do with a franchise like Superman, and what, like, how much stock does he have in? Does he already have control in what's going on with Flash and stuff like that?
So yes, he has creative control, complete creative control. His partner, I think Peter Safran is his name. It's more the business guy to get the dotted line, but when it comes to creative, it's full on head. I haven't seen the Flash, but they said he had a lot to do with making sure it ended a certain way. Certain characters removed upon his request. So and he's doing what a good CEO will do. He says it's the best superhero movie he's ever seen.
It looks
From a,
badass, man. The
yeah,
new
from
trailer,
looks pretty phenomenal. And I
crazy.
think really it's just how much money we talked about it on the King Bang episode. Ezra Miller and all the controversy that he's gone through. A lot of characters. I was looking at Shazam: Fury of the Gods again on Warner on the Max now, not HBO Max, the
I
Max.
haven't seen it. Don't spoil it for me yet.
I'm not gonna spoil it for you, but the movie will spoil it for you. To me, wasn't as good as the first one. I'm happy for this reset. I know a lot of people wanted to see a Batman with another Ben Affleck Batman movie, but I'm happy for this reset, especially with the opportunity of the characters that we're going to potentially get to see. A live action Damian Wayne is top on my list of characters that I want to see. An actual realized Bat family, which from the description, I don't know if you read the synopsis for his Batman movie. It sounds like we're going to get a fully realized Bat family with a Nightwing and everything. I'm excited for that because one thing that James Gunn does, he does take some liberties with the story. Ego being this planet, being Star Lord's father. He'll take some liberties, but it's always, if he takes a liberty,
Good.
it's the better the story, in my opinion.
It's good. Yeah, he does. Yeah, he uses the properties well. Like I
Absolutely.
said, he made the high evolutionary the bad guy that we needed him to be, which was not a bad guy with redeeming qualities, which almost seemed to
Right.
be like at some point it was like a prerequisite. If they didn't have redeeming qualities, then they had to be like an exact analog of the hero they were fighting.
Absolutely. With a story of what went wrong if they used, especially with Iron Man. I can't tell you how many times we were going to see a suited a character. So yeah, no,
Iron Man versus Ironmonger, and then you go straight into the Hulk versus the Abomination. They were basically the same character.
Captain
Right.
America versus Red Skull were literally the same character. They both had. I don't think Red Skull has the super soldier serum in the comic book, but they sure enough gave it to him in Captain America. So you're absolutely right. It's usually Killmonger is Black Panther. Literally had the same suit, just with a gold tint. So those origin stories, they get a little repetitive with their foe being just a bad version, or the twisted, corrupted version. Even Ant-Man and Yellow Jacket, when I think
Yep.
about it,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's the same character. And you could go
Just be
on and
careful.
on every single one. What about you, Gerald? Do you have any hopes for James Gunn taking over the DC? Are you a DC fan?
No, I'm a comic book fan. Love comic books, so DC and Marvel got me through a lot of my childhood. Batman is my favorite DC character, but James Gunn going to the Superman thing, I would really love if they introduced Superboy Prime in one of the movies that he has when it comes to Superman. I think that what we've gotten in a lot of these superhero movies so far, we've gotten a bad guy at one point and then an anti-hero that he was bad at one point, but now you can cheer for him like Loki. So with Superboy Prime, it would be sort of that same thing when it comes to the Superman. That's my biggest thing for him and Superman is the introduction to Superboy Prime. I would just love to see what happens next as far as what he does with DC. Redeem Wonder Woman in some odd way. If he can get his hands on that, that would be wonderful.
I mean, you didn't like Wonder Woman 84 when she was, swinging on clouds with the lasso of truth?
No, I
That's one of her
I I
powers
I
in
would
the
have
book.
loved to heard you guys' comments on that movie.
I think we were on hiatus when that came out, but let me tell you, if we did do an episode,
That came out before we even got started, man.
it,
That
it
was
might it
no,
might have
we
been.
had Max Lord. What the
Yeah,
fuck was Max Lord doing in that, bro?
Pedro
I don't.
Pascal.
I was like,
And
I love that. That's like a character from the comics that I love, and they just
yeah,
like, man, they just wasted characters, bro. Sometimes, man.
Yeah.
and Chitara being a version of, I mean, not Chitara, that's definitely Thundercats, but Cheetah being like
Yeah.
a version of, Wonder Woman, like, and of course my favorite part, we're not gonna just overlook Wonder Woman definitely raped that guy. Like, she didn't have consent to use that dude's body, man. Like, she's Gal Gadot, and she wanted to use my body, I would let her. But I'm just saying, that was not your boyfriend. That was a whole nother dude's body, and we just overlooked the moral.
Yeah. No means yes.
He's like, "Hey, I want a woman. This rope says yes. Tell me what you want." I'll probably have to cut that out. They're gonna be like, "Unknown comic book podcast claims she's a rapist." But I mean,
Oh God.
let me tell you, if Batman did that, I'm like, yeah, I know you ain't Catwoman, but you got her spirit, girl. Let me go ahead and tap that one time. They'd be ready to put him in bat cuffs and throw him in Arkham. Oh man,
Yep.
that's perfect. That's perfect. So that's dope. I think I have high hopes. I hope people give them a chance. I think having good comic book movies on both sides is only good for people like us who grew up reading the books I'm not a Marvel over DC or DC over Marvel. I love them all. If it's a good story and the artwork's great, I love them all. There's some
I'm a big Turtle fan. I'm excited for Turtles coming out, bro.
Turtles.
That's pretty dope. And also, Mario was dope.
Mario was super
It
dope.
was.
Mario was super dope.
I'm very excited. I'm very excited for the whole fucking Nintendo verse, bro.
I'm super excited about that. I'm ready to see some Metroid. I'm ready to. We talked about that offline, who we want to see in these roles, and I'm super excited about that. And by the way,
they started rolling out a cast already for Smash Brothers.
Yeah, for Smash Brothers.
Oh,
So many characters are already cast. We already have Ryan Reynolds as Pikachu. We already have whoever did fucking Sonic the Hedgehog as Sonic the Hedgehog. We've got we've already got all the characters from the Mario movie that are already cast. So half of that's taken care of. I heard what's her face the Carol
Brie Larson
is Samus.
I can see that. I can see that. I'm excited. It's a lot of stuff in cinema that I'm super excited for when we're talking about the comic book relations. I'm really curious to see what's going to happen with this Jonathan Majors thing. I read a report that this was not originally, the Kang Dynasty wasn't really a thing. It was going to be Secret Wars 1 and Secret Wars 2. But after they saw the dailies from Loki and Ant-Man with Jonathan Majors' performance, and I think we can all agree he was the best thing about that movie by
absolutely.
by 1,000,000%, not even close. Like the
awesome bad guy too, man, and he's like I said, he's one of my favorite Avengers bad guys, man. He just knocked it out the park, man. He finally got one just nailed it for me, just nailed it. Even Thanos, there were some things where I had to get used to it. You know what I mean?
Comic book Thanos and movie Thanos couldn't be further apart, in my opinion. And he was dope. And I think it made a little bit more sense for the story, for his motivation instead of I'm just horny for death. I don't think that translates well. So why do you want to kill? Why do you want to kill
and all that?
Why do you want to kill half the universe, Thanos? You seen Death Ass? That's essentially Marvel. So that's pretty much it for this episode, guys. Thank you so much. It rocked. Gerald, thank you so much for coming in and sharing. You're welcome anytime.
Thank you, guys.
Of course, brother. We like to go down the line and share our social media and anything that we have going on for you guys that are tuning in at home or listening wherever you listen to podcasts. Starting with you, Big Gerald, please let the people know your social media, anything you got going on, any shout outs you want to give. The floor is yours, my brother.
All right, and so it's your boy Big Gerald. You catch me on Facebook, Gerald Williams. You catch me with my bro Mars, when the crew and down in the den after dark. Soon to be on the episode of Off Punishment. Soon as somebody do his job, and so we ain't gonna talk bad about him. You catch me on politicking as usual, and it was great to be here, Johnny Raps. Man, thank you so much for having me on, man. It was a privilege.
Yeah, bro. Nice to have you on. Nice to meet you. Come
Absolutely.
back anytime.
We're gonna have to have Raps on after dark. I think he could really wild out on that when we go NC-17. Raps, what are my brother, my partner in crime, my co-host on this, please let the people know where they can find you and any new music, any new projects. Please let them know.
Check out my music. My handle's at John E Raps. It's JOHNERAPS. I got music available on all streaming platforms. Anywhere you get your music, man. You know what I mean? Music there, you get your music here, you give me. And you check my shit out, man. I got a new single coming out on the 15th. It's a party featuring Bizarre from D.E.N, son. And the music video is gonna be fucking hilarious, bro. We're not finished with that yet. We got all Bizarre's parts though, and that shit's that shit's gonna be legendary. So,
absolutely,
yeah, check me out.
Shout out to Bizarre from D12, one of my favorite groups from back in the day.
Dude,
Phenomenal.
he was sweet to work with. He was really chill, bro. He was really chill.
I saw some clips, and it looks like my man Raps has the best music videos in the game, no cap. So please check that out. And of course, it's your boy Mars, aka Marlon Beardo, the Bearded Weirdo, aka the Stella Rosa Casanova, the creative culture, aka the Great Wonder. We've got a lot of great content for you guys. Our AI interview with Jason Rivera from Worlds Apart is up right now. Season 4 of Down in the Den is up there. Numbers are doing great. Please continue to like, comment, subscribe to that. We got a brand new episode of Politicking as Usual that came out this morning, talking about the debt settling, talking about your boy Shannon Thought and Kwame Brown as well. As well as the NBA playoffs. We got brand new episode of Off Punishment up, a Brother's Keeper with King Petty. Shout out to King Petty. He's back in the fold like he never left. Pot with Petty. Season 3 is out, so please support that. And the rest of the content from all the family. Shout out to Cal Jones. Shout out to Big Will. Shout out to my man Johnny Raps, my man Big Gerald. Short man, I could see his reflection of his bald head in the corner. You want to say what's up, short man?
Nah, he in the living room.
Oh, he in the living room. Okay, he probably losing in Domino's right now, cooking something that's.
Oh man, he ain't got a snowball chance in hell when it comes to Domino's. Y'all ain't never got to worry about that, Amir. Man, not a chance.
Don't let that bullshit fool you. I am the king of Domino's. I won yesterday. I whip ass.
He won one game out of 6.
I whip ass.
So I've just
listen. It's been a rough 2 weeks, but I'm whipping ass now.
I heard you're the king of Domino's pizza, my boy. Nothing else, but that's neither here nor there. It's been.
I know he says slick shit.
Say you're the king of Domino's pizza.
It's been the
you ain't shit.
Of course I'm not. It's been the UCP crew. It's that man John E. It's your boy Mars and the special guest Big Joe. We thank you guys for tuning in. Tuning in to this fantastic episode. Let us know in the comments, where did you think of Guardians of Galaxy 3? Where do you think is that? We're recording, motherfucker. Shut up.
He said we recording. Shut up.
This dude having a whole damn conversation. You suck at Domino's. Anyway, it's your boy, the UCP crew. We love y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in. We out.
Fuck you, Mars.